Hello everyone, welcome to my home office. I'm here to talk to you a little bit today about what philosophy itself is and how that's related to critical thinking. It's something that's come up in some of my discussions with some of you. It's something that's come up in our discussion forums, and so I thought what better way to talk about that than in this mini lecture format. And so philosophy, as I see it, was invented by the ancient Greeks. It's hard to pin down a specific date. It's probably somewhere between 750 and 399 BC or BCE. Quite a long time ago. And if there's anyone who's the father of philosophy, I would say it's Socrates. Socrates is he was the teacher of Plato, and Plato was the teacher of Aristotle. And Socrates, I'd say, is also the father of critical thinking, or even logic, as we might put it. Critical thinking or logic forms the foundation of philosophy. It's the toolbox of philosophy. We use critical thinking and we use logic to do philosophy. It's fundamental to it. It's crucially important. And what's Socrates' contribution to it? How did Socrates define critical thinking? Well, he didn't think he was very wise, first of all. He didn't think he knew a lot. And yet most people would consider him to be one of the wisest men who ever lived. And not only was he humble in this way, but he was quite honest. He was quite honest not just with himself, but with others. And he had this way of being honest and frank with others in his one-on-one conversations with them, in such a way that the questions he asked and the things he helped others to see helped others to realize that they didn't really know as much as they thought they knew. And we know this from Plato's accounts of Socrates. Plato wrote a lot about Socrates, but Socrates didn't write anything of his own. And so I see Socrates' contribution to critical thinking as showing us that what we think is knowledge and what we think is wisdom is usually not what we think it is. It's a very tricky thing. And we have to have that humble attitude, that honest attitude. We have to be able to look at ourselves honestly and to have the sort of open mind that Socrates has in order to gain knowledge and gain wisdom. Without first realizing what we don't know, it's going to be impossible for us to grow our knowledge and to grow our wisdom. And Socrates' method, Socrates' approach to critical thinking, often called the Socratic method, was crucial to his ability to make other people see that within themselves, to help others to see that actually they didn't know as much as they thought they did, and that they have to realize this about themselves and really have an open mind if they're going to proceed and if they're really going to start to learn. If we go around thinking we know everything, or if we go around thinking we've got it all figured out, it's going to be very, very difficult for us to be true critical thinkers in the Socratic sense. And I think we can see that in a lot of the conversations that we've had and a lot of the exchanges that we've had so far in the course. We've seen examples that you've all put forth about people you've come across, or maybe even you yourselves, who thought you had something figured out and you were making a cognitive error, and the result was some frustration on the part of the person you were talking with. And it was important for the person making the error to be able to see that they were wrong about something in order for them to move forward, in order for them to correct that error and to be true critical thinkers. And so we've learned a lot about Socrates' approach to critical thinking so far, even though we haven't talked about Socrates himself very much. And what's philosophy as a whole? How does philosophy differ from critical thinking? Well, many people would say philosophy is the love of wisdom. That's a classical definition of philosophy. It's based on the Greek roots of the word philosophy. Is it an accurate definition of philosophy? I don't know. I'm not sure that we've accurately defined philosophy yet. Is it love of wisdom? Yes. Is it more than that? Yes. Does it mean many things to many people? Yes. Is it more than just critical thinking? I think so. Is it more than just logic? Definitely. What's philosophy about? It's about answering perennial questions. Questions that have always bugged humanity. questions that have always been important to humanity, like, what's a human being? What's human nature? How do human beings relate to the world? What is being? What is God? Does God exist? What is happiness? How are we happy? Some people joke that philosophy is about the meaning of life. Well, it sort of is. I mean, it's, it might make it sound silly to put it that way, because there was that very silly movie made by Monty Python called The Meaning of Life. But in many ways, philosophy is about figuring out meaning in life. So that's somewhat true. Is it about puzzling over ridiculous questions, like if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one there to hear it, does it really make a noise? What comes first, the chicken or the egg? I don't know. Some philosophers would say those questions are worth thinking about. I think most would say we shouldn't be spending too much time thinking about those sorts of questions, and that there are these larger, more important perennial questions that we should be focusing on. But logic is the first step. Critical thinking is the first step. We need to learn about the tools involved in logic and critical thinking before we can really move on in a big way to attacking those perennial questions. But you've begun to attack those questions already in your work, and so you've already begun to take some of those next steps. And I hope you all find that exciting, and I hope that this little mini lecture here has helped you to understand a bit more about what critical thinking is, where it originated, how it relates to philosophy, and how philosophy as a whole originated.